Did you know that Connecticut is the fourth most expensive state to live in the United States? Nestled in the northeastern region of the U.S., Connecticut is one of the 6 New England states. It's a place known for its beautiful coastal towns, scenic landscapes, and its rich history dating back to the early colonial days. Connecticut might be small in size, but it's mighty in terms of its economic status. It's home to a host of Fortune 500 companies and has one of the highest per capita incomes in the country. But before you start packing your bags, let's talk about the elephant in the room: the high cost of living. It's no secret that Connecticut is a pricey state, with costs for housing, groceries, and healthcare all above the national average. So if you're a young graduate thinking of starting life in Connecticut, here are 5 reasons why you might want to reconsider. First off, the cost of living in Connecticut is significantly higher than the national average. This may come as a surprise to you, but the numbers tell a story that's hard to ignore. Living in this state can be a financial challenge, especially for young graduates who are just starting out and trying to make their mark in the world. Let's talk about housing first. In Connecticut, the median home cost is over $300,000. That's about $100,000 more than the national average. And if you're thinking about renting, well, you might need to rethink your budget. The average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment is around $1,300 a month. Next, let's touch on food costs. A typical grocery bill in Connecticut is about 15% higher than the national average. That means you'll be spending more on basic necessities like bread, milk, and eggs. Dining out isn't any cheaper either. A meal at an inexpensive restaurant can set you back around $15, and that's before you factor in any extras like drinks or dessert. Transportation costs are another pain point. Gas prices in Connecticut are among the highest in the nation, and public transportation isn't much of a reprieve. A monthly pass for the bus or train can cost upwards of $70, and if you're planning on owning a car, be prepared to pay for expensive insurance and vehicle registration fees. It's not just the big-ticket items that cost more in Connecticut either. Everyday expenses like utilities, healthcare, and even a simple cup of coffee are pricier here than in other states. It all adds up, and before you know it, you're spending a significant portion of your income just to cover basic living costs. So, while Connecticut may have its charms, it's important to consider the financial implications of living here. The high cost of living can make it difficult for young graduates to save money, pay off student loans, or invest in their future. Living in Connecticut can put a substantial financial strain on young graduates just starting out. Secondly, Connecticut offers limited job opportunities, especially for young graduates. Now let's take a closer look at the job market in this state. It's no secret that the job market in any region directly correlates with its economic health and vitality. Unfortunately, Connecticut's job market doesn't paint a very rosy picture. In recent years, the state has seen a decline in job growth across a variety of sectors, making it a less than ideal destination for young professionals eager to kickstart their careers. The lack of job diversity is particularly striking. While sectors like healthcare and education continue to grow, others like manufacturing, technology, and creative industries are lagging behind. This lack of balanced growth means that unless you're looking for a job in a handful of expanding sectors, you might find yourself in a tough spot. But don't just take our word for it. Let's look at some data. According to a report by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the annual job growth rate in Connecticut has been trailing behind the national average for the past 5 years. What's more, the state ranks among the bottom 10 in the nation for job creation. That's a grim reality for young graduates looking to make their mark in the professional world. And it's not just about quantity, but quality too. The jobs that are available often require a high level of experience and specialization, making it even harder for fresh graduates to get their foot in the door. This can lead to a frustrating cycle of underemployment, where graduates are forced to take jobs that don't fully utilize their skills or match their career aspirations. In essence, the limited job opportunities in Connecticut can make it difficult for young graduates to find fulfilling employment that aligns with their career goals. This lack of job opportunities can make it challenging for young graduates to find suitable employment in Connecticut. So, if you're a young graduate considering Connecticut as a starting point, it's important to weigh these factors against your career aspirations. Thirdly, Connecticut has one of the highest tax rates in the country. Now, any conversation about finances can be a bit of a maze, but let's try to navigate through this one together. In Connecticut, the state income tax rate ranges from 3% to nearly 7% depending on your income bracket. That's a pretty big bite out of anyone's paycheck, but especially for those just starting out. To put things in perspective, let's do a little comparison. States like Florida, Texas, and Nevada have zero state income tax. That's right, zero. Meanwhile, Connecticut residents are forking over a chunk of their hard-earned money to the state every year. But it doesn't stop there. The sales tax in Connecticut is 6.35% on most items. So, not only are you paying more out of your paycheck, but you're also paying more for the things you buy. Now let's talk about property tax. If you're thinking about buying a home in the future, prepare for a bit of a shock. Connecticut has the third highest property tax rates in the nation, with an average rate of 2.14%. That's more than double the national average. So, what does all this mean for you? Well, when you add up income, sales, and property taxes, it can make a significant dent in your disposable income. That's the money you have left after paying your taxes and living expenses. It's what you use for savings, investments, and the fun stuff like travel and entertainment. High taxes mean less disposable income. Less disposable income means less money to save, invest, and enjoy. And for young graduates who are just starting their careers, it can be a real challenge to make ends meet. So while Connecticut may have its charms, its high taxes can take a hefty toll on your wallet. High taxes can further deplete the income of young graduates, making it difficult to meet financial obligations. Fourthly, Connecticut offers limited social activities, which can lead to a lack of work-life balance. Now, this is not to say that Connecticut is devoid of fun or interesting things to do. However, compared to other states, the options can seem rather limited. Sure, there are museums, art galleries, and historical sites for the culturally inclined. There's also the picturesque New England countryside for nature lovers. But if you're seeking a vibrant nightlife or a thriving music scene, you might find Connecticut somewhat wanting. Connecticut's smaller cities and towns often roll up the sidewalks early, and the state as a whole lacks the bustling urban centers that offer a rich array of social activities. Major concerts, festivals, and other big events are few and far between. This lack of diverse social activities can have a real impact on your quality of life, especially as a young graduate. It's important to strike a balance between work and play. After all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? But in Connecticut, finding that balance might be a little more challenging. It's not just about having fun either. Social activities provide opportunities to meet new people, network, and build relationships. They contribute to a sense of community and belonging. Without them, life can feel a bit isolated and mundane. This limited social activity can make life in Connecticut less enjoyable, especially for young graduates. So, before making the leap to Connecticut, consider if its quieter, more laid-back social scene is the right fit for you. Lastly, Connecticut's transportation system leaves much to be desired. Now, while we're not saying it's the worst in the nation, there are certainly a few glaring issues that need addressing. Start with public transportation. It's not exactly known for its timeliness or its reach. Buses and trains often run late, and they don't service all areas of the state equally. This can make daily commuting a real headache, especially if you're reliant on public transport for getting to and from work. Then, there's the state of the roads. Connecticut falls behind in maintaining and improving its road infrastructure. Potholes, uneven surfaces, and outdated road designs can make travel not just inconvenient, but even hazardous at times. And let's not forget about traffic. Connecticut ranks highly for traffic congestion, particularly in and around its urban areas. This means more time spent on the road, more stress, and less time for other important aspects of life. What's more, the state's efforts to improve the situation have been slow and often met with resistance. This means these issues are likely to persist for the foreseeable future. In the end, a poor transportation system can add frustration to the daily grind. It's another factor that can make Connecticut a challenging place to start life as a young graduate. A poor transportation system can add to the challenges of living in Connecticut, especially for young graduates. So, why should a young graduate reconsider starting life in Connecticut? Well, let's take a moment to revisit the reasons we've just explored. First off, the high cost of living can be a daunting hurdle for those fresh out of college. It's not just about the rent or groceries, it's about everything from healthcare to entertainment. Then there's the issue of limited job opportunities. While there are industries thriving in Connecticut, the overall job market isn't as diverse or abundant as in some other states. This can make it tough for young professionals to find their footing. We also touched on the high taxes, another financial burden that can make it difficult for graduates to make ends meet. And let's not forget the limited social activities and poor transportation system, which can make life feel a bit isolated and inconvenient at times. While Connecticut has its charms, these factors make it a challenging place for young graduates to start their lives.